Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Back of the Shelf, a show that considers, ponders and deliberates board games that we consider to be underrated, undervalued, and perhaps a little bit underloved. My name is Gerry, and as always, I'm joined by my fellow host, Ben. Ben, can I get a hello, darlings?
Hello, darlings.
Very nice, very nice, sir. And as always, we're also joined by my other fellow host, Dave. Say, it puts the lotion on its skin, Dave.
Hello, darlings.
And not as always, we are joined by our special and returning guest. Lock up your sisters, daughters, aunties, and nanas. It's the chairman of the board himself, Dan. Dan, how the devil are you doing, sir?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Gerry. Thanks again for having me on. I think am I the first returning guest?
You are the first returning guest.
Yeah,
this is amazing.
This is
Thank you so much
for Back of the Shelf. So, absolute pleasure having you on the show. Obviously, thank you. First and foremost, coming back on the show. We were worried we'd scared you off last time. Nevertheless, it's great to have you back, man. Thank you.
No, anytime.
Awesome.
Absolute pleasure.
Dan, while I've got you, played any board games of note recently?
Yeah, I've actually been playing a mix of old and new stuff, actually. So played a few titles from quite a few years back, some old Starry games. I don't know if you're aware of those Starry classics. A little game called Ispahan I played. That was quite a charming little game. Okay. I played Viceroy as well. I don't know if you're aware of Viceroy.
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of this.
Yeah, I think it was one of the first kind of Kickstarter games. That was really impressed with that one as well. And kind of on the contrary, I played a game called Dark Ages, which is brand new, hot off the press.
Yeah.
Big board and dice production, a Euro 4X style game. That one, some mixed feelings on that one.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, very honest of you. Very honest. We like that. All right, nice. Ben, we've been bereft of your dulcet tones for the past few minutes. Played anything good this week?
Before I go there, you just brought a memory back. Whenever a member of my family gets a cut and has to put pseudo creme on the cut, I always do that. She puts the lotion on the skin, and they have no idea what I'm talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about. What is
it? Amuses me for hours. Are you joking?
Oh.
The Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs, man.
Okay.
Wasted.
Do you know? Here's
hours writing that.
I'm a big film fan, but I've never watched Silence of the Lambs all the way through.
That's an oxymoron, isn't it? All the way through, so you started.
Hey, you're an oxymoron. How dare you?
You started, you didn't finish.
It's one of those films that's been on TV so often. I think I've seen the whole film, but never sat from the beginning to the end. I think I've just seen caught bits of it throughout, and then once it's all come together.
Between your fingers, Dave. Like, oh yeah, I'll say this is enough.
Yeah. That's it.
Cool.
That's exactly it.
So, board games. Been playing anything good recently, Ben?
My alarm just went off. I apologize.
That's great. Really professional. Thanks.
Okay.
Great. That's what the bleeping was early on.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that so your alarm to remind you to come onto the show?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're a bit early.
Good. Great. Okay. Thanks.
As you said, as we know, that you guys bought me June Imperium a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Deck builder. I didn't want to have a Tom situation develop again. Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
So I suggested to my board game group to play a deck builder to get us used to it. And I thought, what better one to get going? One of the guys had bought Dominion.
Nice.
Cracked that out. I thought I'll just get through it. I'm not a massive fan of Dominion. I played it a few times. Didn't love it. We got the starter 8 cards, whatever. Got those out. Oh, just sleepwalk through it. And the guy said, "Right, let's try a different set." And I said, "Oh, whatever." There are these 8 cards. Blown away. Absolutely loved it. The different possibilities, such a well designed game. So it was so good. It was so good.
For Dan's benefit, in case he doesn't know, what was the Tom situation?
Oh, we were sat trying to play a deck builder with a guy who'd never played a deck builder, and I assumed he had played. I didn't know what was going on. He was some sort of breakdown,
Ben's reaction was to shout at him,
Bully him.
Yeah, and so
bully,
now I know
bully
he's
him
actually
into
not
submission.
So avoid that situation again. Dominion. I actually can't wait to play it again. And I thought I was done with that. It was brilliant.
I like how you have to play a game to play a game, so as for you not to bully other players and shout at them during that game. Good.
Yes, this is true.
Did you play Dune Imperium?
No, we're not. We're building up to it.
Building up. A couple more deck builders before you're allowed to play it.
Yeah. Well, no, they may be ready. Although I'm quite excited to play Dominion again.
Okay, nice.
That was really good. I can't emphasize how much I enjoyed it. Almost like it's really popular.
I've heard of it.
David, little innocent David.
Hello.
Gaming highlights from the week? Anything?
I haven't done a lot of gaming this week, but me and you, or you and I should say, did play. We played Viticulture with Tuscany.
Nice.
Which was great. Played that again. And then we also, after talking about it the other week and being inspired, we cracked out Bonanza again, which we haven't played. We haven't played that for a long time, probably a couple of years, maybe. Proving itself as the perfect card game once again. I love that game so much.
It feels I should mention to everyone how you insisted on doing an accent throughout the whole game of Bonanza. Do you want to share?
I think it was your wife that initiated the initial accent.
After playing lots of Western Legends, it feels like an accent's just necessary for mini games we play now. What kind of accent were you going for? Southern drawl?
I was going for a Southern drawl, but I don't think that's what came out.
Can you give us an example?
No, I wouldn't dare, because I know that we do have American listeners, and I think we've offended them enough in the past with our American accent. So I don't want to.
It's very good. It's very convincing. I'm sorry that you won't be able to hear it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
maybe one day.
Yeah, just in your head, just imagine the most perfect Southern accent. And that is not what it was.
Well,
other than that, no, I've really been playing a lot of board games.
Thanks.
So,
a stellar report from everyone except Dave, I guess. Before we move on to the main segment of the show, of Back of the Shelf Picks of the Week, I believe it's prudent that we take the opportunity to further loosen our jowls with a game I like to call Can You Guess the Board Game from the bit of the rule book that I read out from that game's rule book? You got a title card for this, Dave?
Of course.
Go on. Those are faces on the donuts.
Yeah, it was Go Nuts for Back of the Shelf.
Go Nuts. Go Nuts for donuts. Love that game.
No. No. Please. For copyright reasons, it's Go Nuts for Back of the Shelf.
Lovely. I like how you kept the donuts, though.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, nevertheless, I digress.
Thank you.
The rules are as brilliant as they are self-explanatory. I shall read out a bit of a rule book. You distinguished and handsome gentlemen, and Dave, will attempt to be the first to guess from which board game the rules derive. 1 point for a correct answer with a total of 8 to win. Glory and pride for the winner, scorn and shame upon the losers. Before we play this week's game, let's meet this week's contestants. When he's not practicing his bird calls to impress other players during games of Wingspan, you can find contestant number 1 writing fan fiction for Top Trumps Best Lakes Edition. It's Dave. Dave, tell us, what's your worst board game teaching experience?
I've got 2 actually, but I know the one you're thinking. Okay. Yeah, I know the one you're thinking of. That would be a small game called Dokojong.
Yeah.
From Oink Games, in which I decided let's play Dokojong, and realised I hadn't actually learned the rules to it, and did one of those things where I brought a game to the table where I was reading the rule book in front of everyone and trying to set it up. And even though the rule book was about this long, it ended up being one of the most confusing gaming experiences of my life. I was like sweating. I was really nervous, even though I knew everyone. There was 5 of us around the table, and I knew all of you very well, so I should have been fine. But I was really. It was like I was giving a work meeting, and I hadn't prepared. That's what I felt like. Like the sweats just started breaking out, and
You're drenched by that. By the explanation.
That, and I confidently told somebody else that I could teach them their copy of Seven Wonders, and I forgot that I hadn't played Seven Wonders in about 2 years, and forgot every single rule.
What did
We packed it up
what do they mean?
halfway through the second age. I think we gave up.
Excellent. Well,
So, yeah,
welcome to the show, Dave. It's a pleasure to have
Thanks.
you on. Thanks for being
Absolute
here.
pleasure. Thanks.
Let's meet contestant number 2. Contestant number 2's hobbies include lecturing children on the halcyon days of Oldhammer, why your favorite board game is incorrect, and combing his vast beard for missing viticulture components. It's Ben. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Gerald.
Ben, have you ever had a sore loser moment?
Oh, good question. Yes.
Go on. Share.
Well, it's not comfortable, is it? They're not. They're the most uncomfortable moments. I make a special effort to make sure everyone high fives and say, "Well done."
Yeah.
There have been. I'm not going to name and shame.
It's supposed to be about you, though, isn't it?
Oh, me? Have I? No, I'm not a sore loser. I'm not a sore loser.
You're not supposed to name other sore losers.
Just for you. Yeah. Never.
Oh, no. I lose all the time. I never win.
Okay.
If I was a sore loser,
he's having it right now. He's having it now.
Let out, man. Well, Ben, pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for participating in today's game. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Let's meet this week's final contestant. When he's not dominating YouTube and board game social media with his in-depth, pertinent, and entertaining board game reviews as chairman of the board, you can find contestant number 3 taking pity on lesser board game media by sympathetically agreeing to be a guest on Back of the Shelf. It's Dan. Hello, Dan. How are you?
Hello, Jerry. Good, thank you. Yeah.
Very good. Dan, pray tell, when you inevitably win a board game, are you a humble winner or do you like to mock and scorn your opponents?
I am definitely a humble winner. In fact,
Okay.
I actually do not like winning a lot of the games that I teach the first time because it does rub a lot of people the wrong way if you teach a game and win it the first time. So I do like not winning the first time I teach games, and I'm always the one teaching games as well.
Question.
Go on.
Has anyone here approached the 3/4 mark towards the end and thought, "Oh shit, I'm going to win this," and play badly for the next few turns to sort of? I have definitely done that.
Yeah.
Every
time I play a game with Dave, I do that. Yeah.
I haven't done that
the other way around.
I like it. You recognize it, Dan, but you're just like, whatever. I'm just going to smash this guy.
I have to play up to me. Yeah, no matter what, I just can't do it. I can't turn that thing off my head.
Utterly destroy them.
Why is it so uncomfortable to teach a game or bring a game to the table and then win it? What is it about that? Because I get that as well. I think we all do, right? It's weird.
Position of power, isn't it? That you've taken advantage of.
Yeah, you feel like you're abusing your power, and it's going to rub everyone the wrong way because they feel like you've got the upper hand.
Yeah.
Well, good to know. It's nice to know.
I feel like Dan got a nicer intro than we did.
Well, yeah, obviously as a guest.
I had a nice intro one day.
Mine is dangerously accurate. So can we learn about some biology? No, let's. I haven't even gotten to 90s yet.
Rogue trader.
When the figures were lead.
If you treat them, you're probably going to die. Learn about photosynthesis.
Now we've met this week's contestants. It's time to play. Can you guess the ball game from the bit of the rule book that I read out from that game's rule book? You're not going to do the thing.
Oh, you're expecting the title card again? Yeah,
I like you just did a nod. Yes.
Let's do it. I realised that the title of the game is so long, I didn't even have a piece of music long enough to fill that.
Are we just shouting out, Gerald?
Just shout out. I'm writing down using my pencil everyone's names, and I will read out the rule. I just spelled Dave wrong. I will read out the rule. Whoever can shout out the answer first, or the correct answer first, gets the point. Happy with that?
I'm on a hot drink. Yeah. Last 3,
Okay, here we go. Let's start. Number 1. Phase 1, buying houses. This phase consists of several bidding rounds. Yeah, it's for sale. Oh my gosh, you smashed that.
To be fair, I've played that game a lot, so
Ben, the game started. What's going on? You ready?
I'm giving the guys a little head start.
Okay, head start. Okay, for sale. Wow, Dave, that was vicious. We have got a guest, you realise, so no, feel it in.
I'll give up about 3/4 of the way through.
Okay.
Standard.
Okay, number 2. If you play a knight card, you must immediately move the robber. See rolling a 7.
Qatar, tell us Qatar.
Yeah.
Ben, I've got to give it to you. You're there.
Thank you.
Man.
I didn't dare
Again,
answer that
like,
time. Jeez.
Calm down. Oh, guess, man. Calm down. Reel it in.
Well, give Dan half a point because he said afterwards, yeah, Qatar.
No, wrong.
No.
No. Optimum player. We know he's an optimum player. Come on. Let's not take away. Number 3. The king's region is taboo. No changes are allowed.
Ooh.
Dan. I'm going to give it to Dan. Smashed it.
How many are there, by the way?
8.
Okay.
There are 8. That was number 3.
Why'd you pick 8 all the time?
I don't know. I like the number 8. Oh, it feels good. Okay. Number 4. Zapping powers. Players can use the
Cosmic
Encounter.
Dave.
I think they've got it.
They've got it. Oh my God. Guys are fierce. Dave's in the lead.
You read a lot of rule books, I guess. Is that live?
Saturday night. Here we go. Number 5. Ship. The next word's in parenthesis. Blue. Whenever a player adds a ship tile to his estate, which can occur up to 6 times, then 2 things happen. Man, Dave, you're all over this.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was a bit slow. I took me a while, that one.
Yeah, you were. I thought you would have it on ship, to be honest.
No. That's so many games. That's all the games.
It's every game. Number 6. The player takes the top face-up tile from one of the 6 stacks of Trajan tiles.
Trajan.
More like that, please.
Give it down. It's Dan's. Ben, you're training. How do you feel at this stage?
I know. Bad. Terrible.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I do.
Number 7. If you're the oldest player, you start by A, flipping over the top card from the stack and deciding if you will, 1, take the card and put it face up in front of you.
No, Bonanza.
No,
Coloretto.
you're both out. Oh, no.
Of course it's not Biblios. You don't flip it.
I'll carry on because we all made an incorrect guess.
Please.
I'll carry on. And put it face up in front of you. This means that you collect the points on the card. Or number 2, say no thanks.
Oh, no thanks.
That takes it.
I'm getting the easy ones.
Okay,
still getting them.
Getting it.
Someone is.
This is the last question.
Yeah, go on.
It's between Dan and Dave. Ben, do you want to partake in this, or do you want to sit out? I don't know.
I've been sitting them all out, so.
Okay, for the win, if either Ben or Dan or Dave get this. Okay, number 8. A train station allows its owners to use one.
Ticket to ride.
Oh, it's Ticket to Ride. I'll give you that. Oh my goodness, Dave! Smash that! What's going on with you?
I guess I'm awake today. It's Ben's alarm. It woke me up as well.
Wow. I mean, congratulations, I guess.
Well,
how do you feel?
I don't feel much different than I did about 5 minutes ago, but I'm happy to take the win. Thanks very much.
Well, thanks, gentlemen. Thanks for
well played, Dan.
Well played.
Ben.
Oh, sorry, I didn't even clarify. Sorry, Dan.
Ben's little face.
And then Ben, I mean, you weren't even playing, really. I mean, just gave up.
I got one, didn't I?
You got 1, barely.
That's all right.
Was that the one where you said Trajan in the title?
Well, I guess thanks for playing this week's episode of Can You Guess the Board Game for the bit of the rulebook that I read out from this game's rulebook.
That's good.
Now all that's done and out of the way, let's get on to the main segment of this week's episode of Back of the Shelf, our picks. So, I believe we're starting with Ben. Ben, what have you got for us?
Oh, okay. Right. Bit of an intro here.
Okay.
The 3 greatest TV shows ever created.
Okay.
Breaking Bad, Sopranos, and The Wire. I love those shows. Absolutely love them. Yet, there's another TV show which has left me with way more emotional impact, emotional memories. I
Golden Girls.
From it. No, not Golden Girls. Close though.
Sorry.
It was a show called Sons of Anarchy,
Oh.
which is truly one of the most bizarre shows I've ever seen, because you used to swing between you remember the A-Team in the 80s, Face and Murdoch, everyone, and they build those giant machines and they career through towns causing absolute carnage, but no one died. And you'd get the funny angle shots of them driving down the road. Honestly, Sons of Anarchy, at least once an episode, there'd be something like that. You just sit there, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. Let's just carry on. But then within a few minutes, it turned into this extraordinary drama, like Shakespearean in its depth. And it was such a bizarre show. And it's genuinely one of the best series we've ever watched. I watched it from start to finish. It was fantastic. So the game I'm going to recommend...
Castle of the Burgundy, I assume.
It's not. In 2014, Gale Force 9, one of the first games they ever released, was Sons of Anarchy, Men of Mayhem. And now this comes with proviso. The show was a very tough watch because there was some extremely dark adult things happened, all kinds of horrible stuff. But it was on FX, if I can remember properly. There wasn't really any swearing, from what I can remember, and there wasn't really. It was one of those weird, the American shows have to draw a fine line between what they can show and what they can't. There was no, I think there was no drug taking, but they could do the most awful stuff to each other. It was a funny thing, but so the show is difficult to sell. The game is also a difficult sell, because at its core, this is a Euro-style economic game. You have your little criminal gang. Sorry, hang on. Sorry. You have your criminal gang. Could be the Chinese, could be the biker gang, and you have your bikers, you have your prospects, and you drive around the town to the different locations. You put your workers down. You do various criminal activities. The police are coming in. There's guns. There's drugs. There's money. It's this. At its core, it's this nice, pleasant Euro game style with a few little things. I love the thing where you can flood the market with something and so destroy the price for everyone else. It has that. A bit of worker placement. The cards come up and give you a little special. There's loads of. It's basically an economic game with this extremely dark theme on top. So it's quite a difficult sell to get to people. We played it only a few times, and eventually my group said, "No, it's just not for us. We don't like the feelings it's giving us." So I had to shuffle it on. And I've never played it with my wife. She would never play that game. It's for a deaf audience. But if you can find the right audience, this game is absolutely outstanding. Truly excellent game.
Is it, you being a fan of the show, I've never watched Sons of Anarchy or nor played the game. Does it feel like you are in the Sons of Anarchy when you're playing? Does it well to adhere to theme?
That was my most important thing. Because we talked about theme before. When you turn over cards, you see characters in the show, and they do the things that you would expect them to do in the show. There's the whole deck of cards you flip over, and you can see things like, yeah, she would do that, or he would do that, or this would happen. And so as you move around specific locations in the TV series, you've got your little characters, you're the gang, you're the Sam Crow, the Mayans. It's just dripping with theme, like ridiculous. No one ever said, "Oh, I'm going to pick up these white cubes and put down on this square piece of paper." It's always,
nice.
I'm getting the drugs and I'm driving over to the tattoo bar or whatever. If you get injured, you have to go to hospitals, and the hospital is. You see that in it's so good. It's such a great little. It was Gale Force 9's first. I think they did Spartacus first.
Right,
which again is really popular, dripping in theme. This was, I think, their second one, and then I think they did Firefly, and they were just hitting these. They would take because back then, if you had IP, you would just slap it on some roller move. So when someone was coming out with these games, which were significant games attached to recognizable programs or whatever, I remember that when this came out, people were blown away. With Spartacus as well, Firefly, they couldn't believe that people were making serious games about this stuff. So yeah, it was an excellent game.
Dan, you played this one?
No, I haven't played this one, but yeah, Ben, I want to ask you: do you think that longevity-wise, the theme has hurt this game rather than helped it?
Yes. Absolutely. It's a difficult one. I'll give you, some examples. The only female characters in this game, as far as I can remember, are total psychopath FBI agents or porn stars. That's the only female. That's the only females in this game, and so that would clearly affect it. I would never get this out with let's
kids.
Say kids. Yeah, no. Come on, Bronwyn. There's Anarchy.
Your priest.
This is a very definite audience. It was, and even, I was playing with guys. We were playing games. No, nothing really fazed us. Eventually, they said, "No, I just don't like how it makes you feel." I think, okay. Because there's massive replayability. I think you only lay out eight locations. There's some like 25 locations in the box. It's a different game every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it didn't have that theme, this would be. I'm sure they must have reskinned it some way. They'll take it those systems because the systems are so good.
One of my friends is so into Sons of Anarchy. I think she's watched it through about 5 times. She's obsessed with it, and she doesn't play board games, but she got this game because she loves the TV show so much. I think it's got that draw for a lot of people as well.
Yeah. See, that's the thing with these IP style games, is that the people who love them and actually get new people into them. But I suppose TV shows, especially ones when they get this popular, they are really kind of a snapshot in time. And sometimes when we buy them at the time, you don't realize how much they date in years to come, because I know people don't really talk about Sons of Anarchy now, whereas they did. Everyone was talking about it a few years ago.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'd say it's dated badly, as in it started off being horribly offensive and it just stayed horribly offensive.
No, what I mean is like it's the it's the kind of water cooler conversation. Everyone's talking about it, and then time passes. I don't mean theme and stuff.
I think unless you get like Firefly, for example, it's a cult classic, isn't it? So playing a Firefly board game, I know this sounds really silly, but it still feels relevant now. It's like playing a Buffy board game or something, because people are still really into that stuff. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's like playing Game of Thrones now would seem a bit like, oh, that's from a couple of years ago. I don't think I'd really want to touch that now, which is a silly attitude, but I know what you mean. I get that from IP stuff, which is why I generally am put off from IP games.
I think I used to be, but now I don't know, they seem a lot more advanced than they used to be.
Sure.
Like Sons of Anarchy,
this was the start. This was the start of it. They turned a corner with these games.
It's a good corner, but hey, begs the question: what's everyone's favorite TV show, film, IP transference to a board game? Dan, you got one?
Oof. I don't play many IP games at all, to be honest.
Yeah, I hadn't played a lot.
No, I can't think of many at all. I mean, TV show wise, Ben named some amazing ones there. I love The Wire. I love Sopranos. I'd love to see some of those games. And I'd love to see a really good kind of like a political Game of Thrones game, not the whole battle warfare. Like a Euro Game of Thrones would be awesome, I think.
I'd love that. That would be perfect, wouldn't it?
Wasn't there like a game that came out that was based in the universe, and it was something, I can't remember, War of Whispers or something, where you don't play the military entity, you're playing the political entity, and just kind of like what's it called? The King is Dead, where you're maneuvering yourself and aligning yourself with different factions as these battles are being undertaken, and obviously trying to gain favor with whatever faction you think is going to win. I like that take on that sort of stuff, where it's not so obvious. Oh man, that's so clever.
I'd like that
angle.
I know what Dan means, though. I'd love to have, say, like The King is Dead, but then add about 10 layers on top of it. So you've got like half an hour between each move on the map, and you've really got to strategize. And like, one of those like 5-hour long games where politics play a massive part and stuff. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Have you got one, Dave? Like an IP type game?
I like Dan. I can't really think of any. I'm trying to think if I played Jaws, but I didn't really like Jaws. Only games that I haven't. Good, man. Yeah, only games I haven't played that I'm interested in. Like I mentioned it last week. Unmatched is one. That I'd like to play based on Jurassic Park or based on Monkey King. Or I suppose Monkey King is not really considered an IP, but yeah, anything like that. I don't know. Yeah.
Ben, is like Sons of Anarchy your go-to for that sort of stuff?
Well, no, it's not my go-to. I think it's the best one I've ever seen done. no, I wouldn't be my go-to. It would take it would be a very, very select group before I got that out again.
I think the Star Wars stuff they do is pretty good. I mean,
oh yeah, cool. Star Wars, yeah.
How good like Rebellion
Most
is.
obvious.
I like that game.
Well,
And
hey, yeah, Rebellion is phenomenal.
obviously the different iterations of like all the card games, and that's some pretty decent stuff. But
I suppose there's some good Lord of the Rings games and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Marvel games. I even played a game. What's it? The Godfather game. It was the Eric Lang design.
Yeah.
That was pretty solid. It was all right.
All right.
Yeah, I'd like to play that. And Fallout as well. Fallout looks good.
Oh, that was one of the worst games I've ever played.
No. Wait. Not. Sorry, I should have clarified. Not Fallout, the big board game. Fallout Shelter.
Oh yeah,
small worker placement game. That's meant to be nice.
How can you? Yeah, I want to play the Fallout game. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, sorry.
No, I didn't mean Fallout game.
You've misunderstood.
Fallout games.
Fallout Shelter.
Yeah, I forgot.
Obviously.
No, wait.
The
other Fallout game is supposed to be so bad I forgot it existed. That was my excuse for that.
Shocking.
Fallout Shelter is supposed to be phenomenal. Fallout, the game, is supposed to be terrible. Well, as Dan can confirm. And has.
Excellent. Well, hey, ladies and gents, check it out. Ben's pick for this week's episode of Back of the Shelf, Sons of Anarchy. Is he to get nowadays, Ben?
Yeah, you see it everywhere. You can pick
All
it
right.
up.
Gabriel Smith and stuff.
Yeah. People buy it, play one game of it, think, this makes you feel uncomfortable, and try and sell it again. So it's always circling.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for sharing. I guess that brings us on to this week's second pick, which is going to be Dan's. Dan, what have you got for us?
Okay, so I've got a bit of a strange one, actually, and I didn't think this one even reached the point where it could be considered underrated or underappreciated, because this one really didn't, it was over before it even got out of the starting block. So this is a game called Fruticola. I don't know if you guys have heard of this one at all. So this is actually by quite a successful designer, in fact, a very successful designer, Virginio Gili, who you might know from Grand Austria Hotel, Lorenzo Magnifico. For some reason, this was a Kickstarter campaign that really didn't get rolling at all. It got to a very mediocre level of being fulfilled, but it did get fulfilled. And when it got fulfilled this year, actually, so I think that goes to show how little this one got noticed, where you guys know about all the games coming out, and this one coming out this year didn't even get talked about. So this is a really interesting game, actually, one that I think is fantastic. Sorry,
just
Dave,
one question.
Yep.
Because I'm struggling to spell it. Could you please spell it for me so I can smoothly transition into a screen share?
It's spelled Fruticola, so it's Fruticola. This is a Euro economic style game where the idea is that we are collecting fruit from these trees in a worker placement style fashion, and then we are trying to make them into jam and then sell the jam at a market for profit.
God, I love that theme.
Yeah, I mean, really something that's not been explored before. Yeah, some really fresh ideas here.
Yeah.
And I think one of the main stumbling points here is how much, and something that I've really come to notice is how much people put value in production, because this game did have some really significant production issues. So I was quite angry, actually, when I got the production here, and some of the punch board, you couldn't even get it out of the punch board without ripping it. So before you even started, the game was ruined. But the gameplay itself is fascinating. So this is a relatively simple and straightforward worker placement style game, which normally I'm deterred from because I think it's an oversaturated market. I wasn't expecting much from it at all, especially from the original feedback from consumers, etc. But this one has an extra layer where you are given a hand of cards to start with. And these cards have basically 3 bits of really important information on them. So the first one is going to be the initiative in which you take your actions. So getting a low number is great because you want to get to those best worker placement spots. And this is a game with tight worker placement spots. You want to get in these places first. But secondly, you would actually... These cards would show which resources are available to you. So you have 2 types of workers. You've got like your farmers, and I think they're just called workers. And they had different strengths in different areas of the board. So, for example, I think the farmers could grab all the fruit off the trees a lot quicker than the other worker can. And the third part was basically an ongoing power that you had throughout the round. So before you even started, before you even placing your workers, you've got a real interesting decision to make. And of course, you are trying to get this fruit. You've got a real strict capacity, as you can see from this picture here. So you can't just keep spamming fruit because you can only store so much. So you want to convert it into jam, because jam is it's going to take up half the space. So you basically combine fruit to to make a jam jar, I suppose, and that would only take one spot rather than the two that are, or I think it's three actually, what a normal fruit would take. And what I really love about this game more than anything, I think, is the fact that you could invest in these kind of technology tiles, which would give you really interesting powers to use throughout the game, like game-breaking powers. And I love it when games bring in really powerful tiles that you just have to have. And this game just had that in spades. And for an hour game that's really easy to teach, great designer, I think some great visuals, but although some terrible production choices. Even got paper money in this. I'm just gobsmacked why this one didn't take off more, and it's such a shame that this is never going to go further now, because it's dead. The word of mouth is gone. It's dead. It's not getting any buzz. Maybe they'll rebrand it in the future. Reiteration, but yeah, this is a crying shame for me.
Ben,
Dan, if I remember correctly, the last time you're on here, you recommended some sort of game about picking fruit.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah,
fruit picking games is your jam, we could say.
Oh, apparently it is.
Oh God. Ugh.
You're welcome.
That was a good one. I like that. Well done.
Love the aesthetic of this thing. Looks great with obviously
you're joking.
I love it. I love that little photosynthesis-esque trees in the background there, like totally unnecessary. Love that.
That box cover, that is not helping.
Not for you. Not your jam. Nah.
Yeah.
Go on.
These little things here, are they part of the game, or is somebody like spruced up their copy? Yeah, the trays and the little pieces and stuff.
All the pieces, all the pieces there are included, but apart from the trays are not included. And I think they've used these trays because, as you can see, all the fruit, they're round, so they just roll everywhere when you put them on the board, on the table.
Okay, yeah. Great idea. Looks nice. Great. That was in Everdell as well, wasn't it? With the berries, which were also lovely, but again, they roll all over the place. Yeah. Hey, nice.
What's it called again?
Fruticola.
Fruticola.
Yeah.
That game was never.
What is that? Fruticola.
It was killed at birth.
Like fruit tickler.
No, I no, it's got no I in it. I think it means like orchard or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Hey,
it looks like it's designed by I'm going to assume Italian designers.
Yeah. One of the
so there you go.
Designers, yeah.
Okay, nice.
But, I mean, even when this one first came out, I thought, it's getting negative review. I thought that might have skewed my impression, because when my expectations are rock bottom, it's bound to be better than I think it would be. But I tried it again, and it was even better. So yeah, I'm quite critical as well. So in order to stay around in my collection, it's got to be good, and it's still here, and it's not going anywhere. So
I love the theme. I think the theme's great.
Yeah, I love that sort of thing. We're talking about like recently the idea of like nature and themes and stuff like that. Yeah, bit of trees, bit of fruit.
Picking fruit and making jam. What a lovely thing.
Delicious. Love it. Does it compare to anything, Dan? Like
I suppose it's got a bit of like commodity speculation in it as well. So like when you start selling things, it gets cheaper, and then you can boost it up in certain ways. So games like, I suppose, like Raccoon Tycoon kind of thing, it may be, but a real nice intro level one.
Nice. Hey, check out, ladies and gents, Dan's pick for this week's episode of Back of the Shelf, Fruticola. Fruticola. Yeah. I'll get that. Fruticola. Okay, nice.
Please tell me you've got an easier to spell one, so I won't have to embarrassingly.
I've got an easy to spell one. It's a little bit longer, but nevertheless, it's a game that Ben introduced me to a long while ago. I believe we were on holiday together, Benjamin, and you pulled out this little ditty. Let me play some games.
Board games.
Board games. It is the Great Heartland Hauling Company. So this one came out. Ben introduced me to it. I kind of forgot about it. We had a couple of games of it. I was like, this is nice. This is nice. And weirdly, on the show, we've been talking recently a lot about pick up and deliver games, because we played Wasteland Express recently, and we're kind of comparing it to stuff like, Broom Service and all that stuff. I'm trying to think, what's a nice pick up and deliver? Because I don't play much of them, but nevertheless, a friend came over and he brought along Great Heartland Hauling Company, so I got to play it again recently. Nevertheless,
I've got a picture of Ben on holiday playing this with you.
Oh, there he is. There we go. If people aren't aware, then in this game, players take on the role of medium haul and Midwest truck drivers doing their best to make a living by hauling goods across America for big suppliers. And the game is, like I said, a pretty distilled pick up and deliver. Players are transporting goods to obviously earn money and be the first player to gain a certain amount, depending on how many players there are. You use fuel and money cards to move around various locations, which are built up by these cards. You can see the picture there. The board is made up of these different cards. And you're picking up and dropping off goods, obviously, using matching goods cards from their hands. So there's a lot of hand management in this one. So these locations, which you can see there in the picture, they have one good to sell, and there are 2 different goods to buy. I think it's that way around. And most locations have one native good. And so I assume these are typical for this parts of America, but you have corn, soybean, cattle, and my favorite, hogs. As well as this, at locations, you can also buy 2 different goods. Nevertheless, other locations around the board, so it's not just simply one where you can sell, they may pay a premium for certain goods, but these require more fuel and inevitably more time to get there with the cargo. So once players, the other cool thing about this one is, like, once players have sold their goods to those locations, they remain on the board. They just don't go back to the supply. And these can be rebought, obviously closer to their destinations, but at a much higher cost. I like that. That was very tasty. All this coupled with limited space on your trailers, which are denoted on these cards, and only 5 cards in your hand at a time. You have to be pretty expert at managing your resources in your hands, as well as playing the odds, pressing your luck, obviously drawing the cards to be, the best trucker on the road. Like I mentioned before, there's no board. The cards are placed randomly in this determined pattern, which differs according to the player counts, and these creates a road map, each card representing one location. It's a pretty simple game, I think. Like I said, it's a very pure pick up and deliver. I think it's a solid gateway, light on the rules, but it definitely offers a fair amount of strategy, because one card can only hold 1 truck. So there's a lot of blocking opportunities. It can get a little bit conflicty, but I like that. It was very good fun for that sort of thing. And obviously, if you play it with, I only played it at 2 players, but obviously I assume if you play it at 3 or 4 players, the blocking is going to get pretty intense. So I like that it creates that strategy there. It offers a good mix of optimizing movement through your timing and tactics, as well as obviously, you're drawing from a deck, so that's an element of luck, which I like. Obviously, like any draw, if you draw poor cards, it can lend to a bit of a naff score, but you play them at the right time, big scores. I like the length of the game, 30 to 45 minutes, and you're done. It doesn't do anything, beyond its means. It does what it says it does on the box, and I think the speed of the game reflects that. Major highlight are the components. You've seen from the pictures there, gorgeous wooden what are they called? Semi-wheel trucks, 18 wheelers or whatever. Delicious. I like those. The cards are those, I don't know how to describe them. They're like those linen fill ones. Nice and thick, super nice against my sensitive skin. I like that. They've got wooden cubes to denote the goods, though I feel like they kind of missed a ticket when they didn't have, wooden cows and soybeans and corn, but I guess that would have mucked up the price of the game, which is very reasonably priced. So great Heartland Hauling Company. That's my pick. Small box game. It's a game that does what it says very well, sets out to do. Solid pick up and deliver if you're interested in that sort of mechanic. Gameplay that's easy to learn. Sprinkling strategy, gorgeous components. Go check it out. You play this one, Dan?
No, I haven't actually. No, I don't know much about this one at all. I think I might have heard it in conversation passing, but didn't know much about this one at all. But I know, it's funny enough actually, with pick up and deliver games, out of all the kind of mechanisms out there, pick up and deliver seems to be one of the most polarizing. Have you guys found that at all? Or?
We found it hard to get any really to the table. Okay. It seems for us, or at least I speak for myself, but I think for Gerry as well, it's probably the game mechanic that we found the least in all of our board games.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, there's versions of, I quite like it when it's part of a larger game. So I mean, Western Legends is quite a nice example when you have the cattle rustling, and it's just a smaller mechanism within a larger game. That's quite cool. I think the game that I enjoy the most with pick up and deliver is Black Fleet. That's, I think, that's a very solid pick up and deliver. I enjoy that one a lot. But yeah, I've not played many of them, and getting this one back to the table just kind of reminded me, oh, actually, this is fun. I like this game. It's very solid, and it's a very pure form of that. But
you're a big fan of... Sorry, Ben, go ahead.
I don't have it anymore because you played it a lot.
Yeah.
I liked it so much because it actually, we spoke last week about Merchants of Venus. Because this Great Hauling is such a tight, difficult little game. It's very it's one of those that every move is sort of heavy. You know, think quite hard about it. And I want a game which is much bigger. So I want to do that thing, but on a much larger scale with a little less cutthroat. But yeah, it was a super small. It's one of those super small boxes that has loads of game in it. Which at the time, this was a few years ago, I was really into. I really enjoyed. I used to scour Board Game Geek for small box, big game lists. Yeah,
nice.
One of those.
Nice. Dan, what was your point? What were you going to say, man?
I was going to say, as far as I'm aware, you guys are quite big fans of Castles of Burgundy. Am I right?
I am. I like.
Yeah. Okay.
Castles of Burgundy.
Have you tried Oracle of Delphi at all?
No. I haven't tried Oracle of Delphi.
Oh, you need to try it. It's literally the pick up and deliver version of Castles of Burgundy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sold.
What do you mean? What?
You're speaking my language. That sounds wonderful. Can I just on this game? I remember you playing this because I remember you putting pictures when you were on holiday.
Yeah.
I think underneath you put, "Ha ha, Dave, look at me, I'm playing games." And I remember looking at this game thinking, "Oh, that looks lovely." And you know my penchant for small box games. This one looks right up my alley, except for the cutthroat bit. I'm not really into cutthroat mechanics in games much, but this looks lovely. I'd like to try this one.
Yeah, it's weird, the cutthroat bit, because it's not always done deliberately, because obviously you're going out of your way to deliver your goods, but invariably you end up in a position where you're trying to deliver the same good.
It wasn't aggressive. It was just you had what you wanted to go and do, and then someone would park their lorry in front of you.
You're like, oh god.
So you had to go somewhere else.
Road rage. I'd like to play it. It looks good. And like you said earlier, the components, just having, as soon as you put like wooden pieces cut into the shape of what they're supposed to represent, it somehow improves the experience of a board game, doesn't it? What is it? It's just.
What is that?
Nevertheless,
ladies and gents, check it out. Our 3 picks for this week's episode: Back of the Shelf, Sons of Anarchy, Fruit Tickler, and oh my god, it's a long title, The Great Heartland Hauling Company, which I believe us brings on to the final segment of the show, Shelf Space. Do you have a title card for this, Dave?
I just have the intermission, which I've been eagerly hovering over, but then I haven't found a space to put it in without.
Go for it. Sounds like a good time now. Perfect timing. I mean, slick as.
I think what really makes a YouTube show for viewers is when somebody goes, "Hey, go for it. Put that card up now," and then I press a button.
I think so.
It looks so professional. It's like watching the BBC.
Dan, obviously being our esteemed guest, we turn to you for this week's Shelf Space. What have you got on your chest that you would like to get off of?
Okay, so this one is much more specific in-game than my last one. I suppose my last one was quite a macro board gaming thing. This one is very particular to mostly Euro-style games, which I tend to enjoy. So as you guys probably aware, in most Euro games, there's always some kind of track or some kind of path you got to go down, and the further you get, at the end of the game, whoever's the furthest gets the highest amount of points, say 8 points, second place gets 4 points, whatever, third place gets 2 points. I really hate it, and this is almost in maybe 90% of these types of games, where as long as you are on that track, you'll count as being in that scoring. So, for example, in a 2-player game, one person could have invested their whole game into climbing right to the top of that track, and then the second person just has to go on that first step, and they get half the points. That for me is one of the biggest kind of scaling faux pas you can do. I mean, and I think there's one exception that I remember that actually fixes this, and that was in a game called Coimbra. Okay. And Coimbra did a great job because in the 2-player game, you would only get that second place if you were within, I believe, 1 or 2 steps of the first player. And why isn't that more widespread? I don't understand why that's not just a general, just accepted rule that needs to be in the rule books for these types of games. Do you guys have any thoughts on this at all, or is this something that frustrates you?
I do have one thought. I do have one thought. We've gone from extremely general into extremely specific. I can't even think of a game that has this. I don't know if
we played recently Medici, which does this, right? And you have that track in the middle where, according to obviously the goods that you've been collecting or shipping or whatever Euro theme it is, I forget. You just need to get onto the track, and obviously based on your position, no matter the distance between first player and second, you will score those. like you say, it's usually half points, whatever. But go on.
Well, that is true, but I will defend Medici to some degree because they have a pyramid. I was going to say pyramid scheme. That's not right. A pyramid where you're trying to work your way up. So if you're at the top of that pyramid, it's because you've collected like goods in a turn, and if you're second, it's because you've also collected goods and you're trying to catch up. So it does mitigate it to some degree. But I know what you mean. You could be 7 places up, and you could be like only the second place up, and you'd still get those points if you were the second player.
Yeah.
I like it when I'm trying to think of a game where it really rewards you well. Besides, obviously, you mentioned Coimbra.
Wingspan's quite good at this, isn't it?
What is it doing? Wingspan
in the end of season or whatever it's called, scoring, where you're trying to get like the most birds with certain types of nests or whatever you're trying to get, and if you have your cubes, don't you? And if you do it, you get rewarded based on what you've done, and then something like that. I can't remember. I lost my way halfway through. But I'm sure that I remember Wingspan being quite good for second and third place and stuff.
Right, it made sense, like the scoring pattern.
Yes, because that's right. This is what I was trying to say. If you're first and second and you're tied, then the third player won't score anything because the first and second will add up to first and second points. That's a nice way of doing it. That's a very simple and nice way of doing it. Yeah.
Doesn't that work for like Castles of Mad King as well? In like the scoring of because it's those 3 scoring tiles, that does that well as well on the track.
I think that's a great way to mitigate it.
Yeah. I played a version of this. I was playing recently. It was Honga. I was playing with my kids and stuff. And there's one part of Honga where I think it's supposed to be it's usually a temple track, isn't it? It was trying to get to a temple or whatever. And on the side, it's a very small part of the game. But likewise, if you can make your way nearly to the top and score these points, and you only have to get on one step and you'll score half the point. It's very easy to score points in that section of the game. It does it terribly, but nevertheless, I mean, did
you shout at your children when they made it?
I scolded them. No, you don't deserve those points. We're changing the game.
Is this like in a choir? The person who has the most shares obviously gets the big bonus, but then the person could have just 1 share and they get the second. Is that what we're talking about?
That kind of thing, I suppose. There's lots of different iterations of it.
Yeah.
But when someone can put in just the least effort possible, where someone's invested loads and loads and loads, and you're not going to compete with them at all in what they're trying to do. So it's an obvious choice just to sneak in second place and get more than compensated for the work you've put in comparison to what they put in.
Yeah, it leads to I think it can lead to that thing that I don't particularly enjoy in games where it's the last turn and you think, oh, what can I do? Oh, I might as well just gather some money up then because they're worth certain, points at the end. That kind of thing. I think this does that as well. It encourages that kind of, oh, what else can I do? I might as well just do this then.
Just jump on the
track. It is a bit weak. I know what Dan's saying. I agree. It feels a bit cheap.
Cheap points. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Points.
But I suppose you could argue it in 2 ways, thinking, the other person's been inefficient by overspending in that. But that's
exactly how I'd argue. That is exactly what I would say. Like, why have you done that? Well, I was 1 share and I got this.
Yeah,
that's on you, my friend.
What track I think does really well is I really like this track, is the Emperor's track in Grand Austria, and how. The benefits of getting onto that track and how you score it and then your pieces move back a certain amount depending on which round it is. I think that's such a clever track. I love that. And it really punishes you if you're not working on that track. And it forces optimal gameplay, that one. I like that track a lot.
Yeah, and it means that somebody can't completely neglect it without being punished, as you say. Yeah.
I like that. I like what I haven't played Coin, but I've heard good things. But I like the idea that if you're not very close to the first player, you're not going to score. I love the idea that you've got to keep up with somebody. That's cool. That's very good.
That's one. I don't know what we call this. What do we call this in Shelf Place? Crappy tracks. I don't know what to call it. Ben, what are you trying to say? Go on.
Does Init have something like this?
Oh gosh, I can't remember.
If you have I can't even remember. I have a feeling that's you are right. That is frustrating because grinding out that like Dave says, your last turn you just throw something down just because you get that second place. Yes, I found that quite frustrating. But they flop out 8 shares and you get your 1. I love that.
Oh yeah, if it's secret though, that's a whole different thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and they
I
thought,
agree, though.
I've
If
been working so
it's
hard,
secret,
and
that's exciting. But like in Biblios.
Yeah.
Come on, Ben, agree with me, please.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's a shame if the last few turns of the game you're thinking, oh, I'll just hold off till the last turn and I'll put something on that track just so I get some extra points. Yeah, it is a bit of a weak thing. I'm trying to think of a game that's, I mean, there's a lot, isn't there? I'm sure there are a lot of games that do this, where you get rewarded for second place quite easily.
All right, I'm coming around to this. I do remember Biblios, and that was a very frustrating thing.
What was so?
If I always thought when I was playing Biblios, if it was a really tense down to 1 or 2 shares to 2 wins, I thought that'd be a great game. But it turned out someone had like 5 red cards, and then someone else had 5 yellow cards, and someone had 5 blue cards. There was no sort of, okay, you can have those points, you can have those points, and you can have those. There you go. Well done.
You were playing Biblios wrong, right? What is going on? It's like you're describing a different game.
All I can think of right now, though, is all the tracks that I really like that do it actually well. I was trying to think. I know we're talking about before, and we mentioned Trajan. Is it the Senate? I always forget the Senate or the Forum. What's that track? At the bottom?
Yeah, the Senate. Yeah.
Okay, the Senate. I like how. And it determines, isn't it like you turn your goods cards or something over and you get like the NAF side if you don't compete and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so if you're furthest on the track, you get the good version of the tile, which gives you say 2 points per X good, and if you come second, you get the NAF one, which is like say 1 point or half a point per good. Which is really nice. So the worst.
It's clever, that little thing. It's very
I've only played it once, but I loved all the stuff going on in Trajan. Yeah. And I remember that track. Yeah, that was good fun.
Good track.
The worst example of this that I've ever seen is a game called Paris, which came out maybe a year or 2 ago. Kramer and Kiesling game.
Yeah.
And all that game was climbing a bunch of tracks. And so at the 2-player game, all you had to do is just sneak onto as long as you're at least on every track, and it's a 2-player game, then you're gonna get compensated. So why wouldn't you? So yeah.
Is Paris the one with is that the one with the Arc de Triomphe in the middle?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I do know. Okay. Hey,
I know where I in Cosmic Encounter. If you have only just one, if everyone puts the 10 spaceships on the attack and you just put 1 in, you get to put your. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's annoying.
What are your thoughts on instead of that then, like the tug of war type track, where you're pulling away? If you're winning, you're pulling towards you and you're getting more points. Whereas if somebody else is, I know that only really works in a 2-player game, but it sounds like something like Paris would need that maybe. I'm sure I'm not.
Yeah,
Kramer and Kiesling probably know what they're doing, but if they want help from somebody who's never designed a game, I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean, but I suppose with those tug of war style games, I suppose as we were saying earlier, you want to just have it enough and not overinvest, I suppose.
Yeah.
The best version of a tug of war style game in that respect is Blitzkrieg. I don't know if you played Blitzkrieg.
I've got
where
Blitzkrieg.
The more you invest, the more
that's
points
all I was thinking. Yeah.
If you're winning by miles, then you're going to get rewarded for that.
Yeah, I mean it works great as 2-player. I wonder if there's a way of implementing that. It's a completely different mechanic, I know, but it does that thing where you're literally taking points away from another player as soon as you score something. But hey, that's my idea.
Hey, cheers for that, Dave. Thanks for that.
You're welcome, everyone out there.
And thanks for your addition to shelf space, Dan. I love that. I guess I'll stick with that. Crappy tracks. We'll call it that. Crappy tracks.
Crappy tracks.
Lazy, crappy tracks.
Lazy. Yeah,
cheap point tracks.
Yeah.
We'll go with that one. Ladies and gentlemen, it obviously, I'd like to suggest getting in touch with the show if you would like to provide your examples of crappy, cheap scoring tracks. We'd love to hear from you. Which, Dave, how can they go about doing it?
You can. You can. The best way is to email us, really. To backoftheshelfpodcast@gmail.com. Yeah. You can find us on Instagram, where you can leave comments and send us messages. It's at back.of.the.shelf. It's been a while since I've done this, believe it or not. Facebook, we have a page, Back of the Shelf Podcast, and on Board Game Geek, we have a guild, which is Back of the Shelf Podcast.
Yeah, so do get in contact. Tell us about your crappy tracks. We'd love to hear about them. Dan, where can people find you on the old interweb?
So best place to find me is on YouTube. I believe if you type in youtube.com/chairman of the board, I'll come up.
Nice.
And I'm also on Instagram at chairman_board, I believe.
Yeah. I believe. Convincing.
I believe.
Hey, well.
Yeah, go and check out Dan's channel because it is great.
Yeah, please do. Check out his Instagram as well. Phenomenal. Love the photography, man. Looks great.
Oh, thank you very much.
And obviously your reviews of, what did you just review? Remind me again?
I've just literally within the last couple of hours dropped a review of Dark Ages.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, go check it out, even though obviously people won't be listening to this until Monday, probably. But hey ho, doesn't matter. Go check it out anyways. Ladies and gents, obviously our picks of the week. Go check those out. Sons of Anarchy, Fruiticola, I like the name of that one, and Great Heartland Hauling Company. I think it leaves me with nothing else to say, but Dan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you back on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you so much for having me back on. Yeah, anytime, guys. I'd love to come on and speak to you guys. You guys are great fun. And of course, the invitation to come on my content is always open. So
awesome.
We'll certainly sort something out soon and get you on.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Brilliant stuff.
Thanks,
well, in that case, gentlemen, I guess it's time to wave goodbye. Bye. Bye.